Disclaimer: the views expressed on this episode of Perspective Platoon with Prateek are solely the opinions of the host and the guest. The content of the conversation is not reflective of the institutions or establishments mentioned therein. Take all these opinions with a pinch of salt and a dash of lime if needed. Namaskara, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching or listening, and welcome to this episode of Perspective Platoon with Prateek. My guest this week is Shahrose Chougley. Shahrose and I are actually childhood friends, and no, we did not meet through the University of Central Oklahoma. We haven't spoken to each other for close to 10 years, and the first full-fledged conversation that we had was recorded for the purposes of this podcast. So I'm sure that there's a ton that you'll find interesting about our friendship and how we've evolved as people from then on. So I'm pretty certain that there's a ton that you could relate to in this episode. In the interest of time, this episode has been cut into two parts because the whole recording was close to 2.5 hours. So you will see part one this week and part two next week. But other than that, without further ado, I present to you Shahrose Chougley on this episode of Perspective Platoon with Prateek. Hey Shahrose, how's it going?
Very well, man, Prateek. Very well this side. How about you?
All good, all good, all good. I mean, I'm glad we're able to do this after 10 years since
10
we
years.
met.
I put in two more, two less, but yeah, it's good to have you. Nice to see you. And as I said earlier as well, you've retained your look. It's nice to see you this way. I'm not sure about myself, but yeah, I like your look.
Thank you, thank you. You look good too. You look good too, and I
Oh,
appreciate
thanks.
you taking the time to do this. I know it's past midnight where you are
Oh,
right
no, no,
now,
no, no, no.
so
The pleasure is all mine. You gave this opportunity and you invited me on this. I've never done a podcast before, but this is really exciting and interesting. And it's nice to see someone who I've known for such a long time is into this. I briefly just scrolled through your Instagram and I saw the people that you've been interacting and talking to, and I think it's a great thing. I hope this takes off for you, and I just wish you well for this, man.
thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so like before we get into the questions, let the people know who you are. Let them know some of your likes, some of your dislikes, any future goals, or any sort of personal goals that you have for yourself that you're open to sharing.
So before I begin, I'd like to see what you remember of me, as in what am I to you, and then I'll give my introduction. So we know what Prateek thinks Shahrose is, and then I'll say what Shahrose thinks Shahrose is, right? If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, this has never happened, but yeah, we can do this. Yeah, we can do this.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, memories probably go back. The last time was probably like we were talking off air back in 2009 when we used to play a lot of cricket in the parking lot area of our old building.
Yes.
And that's where the memories are with people like Imad, Akhil.
You remember the names?
Yeah, Imad, Akhil, all of those people. We used to live in the same building.
Yeah.
Did you live in the sixth floor? No, you didn't live in this. That was Imad. Or did you live in the sixth floor?
I think Akhil was on the sixth floor. Me and Imad were no. Someone with me, Imad was on the same floor as me, but I think one floor. I was on the second floor. I was in 201.
Right.
You were on the ground floor. I
Yeah.
clearly remember that. And yeah. That's I think
Akhil was on the
good
fifth floor.
Akhil was, I think he was on the fifth floor. Yeah. That's right.
Mudassar was on the fourth floor.
Yes. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Yeah. And then we had a few other people who used to come and play with us from the other building.
Yeah.
Forget what that building is called.
Bushra building.
Right. Ichu. I don't know if you remember Ichu.
Ichu, yes.
They used to be going.
Muhammad Ihsan. I added him on Facebook a while later. No talks with them, but yeah, you retained very well the names. Yeah, Ichu and those Paki gang people, who used to bully us. There used to be Salman and Abdul Manaf was a fairly nice guy later on.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? Bilal. Salman, I think Salman. He was. There were some bullies, man. Like I clearly remember that today, and I just think I'm like, where would those people be today? I'm like, I don't know. I just wish well for them, but I'm pretty sure they're not nowhere near as where we are. Not boasting or
No, no, no,
saying
yeah.
with pompousness, but yeah, I just sometimes think I'm like, okay, where would those people be?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think those, are
yeah.
you talking about my neighbors, like who used to live right next door to us in the ground floor?
I think
Like
so.
the
The party
family?
people, yeah,
Yeah, there's a
yeah, the
full
big
family
party
of
family.
brothers,
Yes,
Talha, and
Talha, yes, that's right.
uh, I think the other guy,
Sal,
damn,
I remember Salman, one guy, and Talha. Yeah, Talha is definitely the guy. He had a younger brother who was
Osama.
kind of Usama. I think so. I think yeah, Talha, Usama,
There were
and
a couple of
Salman. Yeah,
others, yeah.
yeah. These are they were common names from Pakistan. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the memories, man. Honestly, like I can't remember playing as much cricket after that. I have
Yeah.
played a little when I was in India, but not
Mhm.
as much as we did back home, honestly, or back in Dubai rather, in the UAE. It's still
Okay.
home to me. I was born there, but yeah,
It is.
it's still
It
home.
is. It
Uh,
is. It is.
yeah. So yeah, in terms of like playing in the parking lot, um, yeah,
Do,
we used to.
do you remember the birthday? Sorry to cut you. Do you remember the birthdays that we had? We had a couple of birthday parties, if I'm not wrong. I think we had Imad's birthday party, or I think Saad, his little brother's birthday
I
party.
think it was Saad. I think it was Saad.
Yeah, and then we had your birthday party as well. I remember coming to your house, meeting your grandma, and we
I
were
think it was
just
before I left.
I think so. I'm not quite sure, but I remember. I think yours was the last one, and you had very graciously given us KFC, if I'm not wrong. And I clearly remember we had a ball of a time. We were going through your desktop, and we were going through all the WrestleMania soundtracks that you had of each wrestler. I remember. I remember very clearly. And you had Rey Mysterio 619. We used to call him, and I didn't know the name, and like I was not so well versed with English lyrics or English songs back then. I was a Hindi guy, and then I read the name and it said Buyaka Buyaka. I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, that is the name. I'm like, okay. And then John Cena, you don't see me, all of that. I remember seeing that on your desktop. And yeah, I have very fond memories of you, but yeah, but I'll let you complete about your memories and then I come to mine.
No, likewise, totally. I think those days of us being together playing cricket, like nothing feels the same. Like if I'm brutally honest with you, if even after I've played with
Yeah.
people in India, it never felt the same because I think there was, as much as there was infighting, because we were all kids after all.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think we necessarily fought with each other, but I remember having a couple of fights with a couple of kids, maybe Abdul Manan and all those people.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah.
it's really refreshing for me right now. And I was thinking before I came on air, and I want this to be on record since we're live now. I want to say this. I have a very very funny and a cute memory of you, especially. Because whenever people go like, "Oh, Prateek," I'm like, "Yeah, I have this one memory. I don't know if you remember this. Let me know once I finish.
Yeah.
Let me recall it." So I think we were playing, if you remember, the parking lot part, and we used to draw the stumps on the wall because we didn't have physical stumps until one day Imad bought a white setup. Like I think he was the rich of our gang, of our. He was the rich guy, like, oh, Imad got stumps. So he used to get a new bat and he used to always buy balls. We used to invest less.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with our status, but it's like we never had money. So anyway, so we used to draw stumps on the wall and the parking lot inside. And whenever there was a wicket or if someone had to be out, it was just plain guess or with respect to the people who had witnessed it, that the ball has actually hit there or here or
Yeah.
And I think you were bowling. You were a good fast bowler. I think you were a better bowler than a batsman. And I think you were bowling. I was not batting, but it was someone else. And similar thing happened where I think it was a wicket and it was not given out, and you were very miffed about it. You were very pissed. And we you used to be captain sometimes. I used to be captain. I don't know who was that day, but it's like we were just sitting. And again, I think it was a series of unfair wickets or not being given out, something that sort that happened, and that pissed you off. and I remember talking to you, and I was like, Prateek, man, what is this? And he's
Yeah.
like, dude, look at this guy. It's clearly out. Even last time I got him clean bold. BOLD bold. I'm like, it's BOWLD. And we all laughed that time. I remember this very clearly, and I think it's the most fun memory that I have of you. Where you were in so much anger, you were like it's BOLD board, and I'm like, what? No, I can't remember your face. It was so funny, and I think that's a good memory that I have of yours.
I honestly don't remember this. I don't.
But it happened, dude. It was so funny. So many other things with other people as well. You know, with Hima. All these people, Salman, they used to come. They're like, okay, one ball, and
Yeah.
we were like, oh, you know what? Let's just get him bold. Let's just get him out, and he'll just be on his way back home.
Yeah.
Same stuff with that bullying. So yeah, that's how I fondly remember you, man.
I mean, I appreciate you mentioning that. I really do. Like, it really takes me back to those days, because I remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if once, I think, or many times, we've had these sort of India versus Pakistan games.
Yes.
We play right in between that between the two buildings.
Yes.
On the footpath. Yeah, and I remember those two. Yeah. That's really awesome. And I remember having a few conversations with you in the elevator too. I don't remember the material of the conversation, but I remember like when you were headed home or when we were coming back from somebody's house, we talk in the lift about playing or whatever before we left. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a post-match dugout session. You know, like,
Right.
This happened, blah blah. We used to talk about bats, if I'm not wrong. We used to talk about new gear and bat and stuff, you know. Or we used to talk about cricket. We used to watch matches. I even remember since you mentioned India versus Pakistan, there was a Pakistani taxi driver who used to come to play with us. I think he was a very nice guy. Not very many days, but yeah, I think he's come a fair bit of amount of time. And there used to be this one more guy, Daniel, if you remember him. He had PS2 in his home. I don't know if you were there, but we went to his home and we used to play and all. And I was a very, again, I'm just shifting the topic towards me. I was a very skinny chap. I'd still say I am, but you know, I was extra skinny back then, and I used to wear cap and I used to wear shorts. And I remember the remarks that people make the first time towards me. So the taxi driver, you know, I think I was a decent batsman. I won't praise myself, but I was batting, and the taxi driver was the first time he was wicket keeping, and Abdul Manan was I think advising the bowler, and I think you were the bowler or Imad, I don't remember, but there was a lot of chat on how to bowl to me and how to get me out. I was in the opponent's team, and the taxi driver passed the remark. He was like, ये क्या बच्चे से बात कर, like why why you giving so much importance to this guy? Who is this? Look at him, like something of that sort. You know, he's just a small guy. He'll just get out. And Abdul Manan had defended me like, oh, you don't know him. He plays well and blah blah. And I think the next ball I hit a 6 or I hit a 4 back then, and that guy was looking at me. I'm like, you know what? I'll show you what I can do. So I remember that remark. Daniel, his parents, I think we had gone to his place. I think 3 of them. I don't know if you were there. Imad was certainly there for sure. And we went to his home, and same thing, you know, it's like the kids, like even Daniel had spoken highly of me to his parents.
Yeah.
And when I went to his home to play PS2, Daniel is like, Mommy, Shahrose. And his mom was like, Ye hai Shahrose? And I'm just like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by ye hai? I'm like something wrong with me, and you know, Daniel was like, no, I spoke highly. Maybe they had another image of me or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know what people thought of me. Like, it never bothered me then, doesn't bother me now, but it's funny to me, just recalling all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, for those of you listening who don't know what "ye hai Shahrose" means, or is this Shahrose? That's what it means. No, totally. Like, I think even my parents had like a lot of high regards about you too. Whenever they would see you, like you mentioned how you would see them passing by before we got on live. You were talking about how you'd see them when you were going to uni and so on. Yeah, they'd usually bring it up on phone calls. Sometimes they saw you. We saw Shahrose the other day. So yeah. No, totally, man. There's a lot of memories.
I feel guilty now. I should have gone and spoken to your parents. And I think once I said hi to your dad or your mom. I don't remember, but it's like I remember their face and their like them like just saying something to me. I remember like, okay, hi, how are you? And I think I did speak once to your mom. I don't remember very clearly, but that's how I found out that okay, you are not here, you are in US. And then from you, I found out that okay, you are in Oklahoma when you had messaged me or I think Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think I did, but yeah, I feel guilty now. I should have spoken more.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. I guess we were meant to meet around this time. So
this time,
yeah. But I'm glad we're able to do this too. So
I am very much.
Yeah. So yeah, if you could let the people know, let's just bring it back a little. We could go back into the memories a little more, but before we go there, let the people know who you are, some of your likes, some of your dislikes.
Okay, so I firstly, my name is Shahrose. I'm 24. I'm from Bombay, and how I know Prateek is again as he described. We used to play cricket together. Childhood friends, I think.
Childhood friends.
Yeah, childhood friends is a very deep rooted term that you've given. Because I never thought of you as a childhood friend. I'm like, okay, you're a neighbor. You're a building cricket guy. Like it's like we have special friends for everything. So I'm like, okay, Prateek is my cricket friend. Yeah. And that's how I remember. But I think you have given a better term to me, which is childhood friends. I really like it. So I'll also call you a childhood friend. So we are childhood friends. Yeah. And I am an architect. But I've done architecture, not architecture, because I do not have passion for what I've done. But that's not how I describe myself. Unfortunately, that's like a stamp, that you'd say that I've got a tag that I really want to remove. It's like super glue, once it's on your hand, it doesn't go off. Architect is something like that. So I'm trying to redefine it in a better way. No regrets. But yeah, I'm trying to define myself is what I'd like to call or tell about myself. I am, I think I'm on the path of discovering myself, and I hope that I discover myself soon. So I think that's about me. One more important thing. I think two more important things. I'm a huge Shahrukh Khan fan. I don't know if you can tell or knew before.
I mean, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I have always been a huge Shahrukh Khan fan. I've met him.
Wow.
That's a different topic. So that, and I am a huge motoring enthusiast now. I'm a petrol head. I'm a complete petrol head. I'm into cars. Again, that's a separate topic, but I think these things are what define me. Shahrukh Khan, Bollywood movies, cars, electronics. I have a thing for gadgets. I have a YouTube channel which has 10 or 11 videos, but it's just it's nowhere. Again, I have different philosophies for that. So yeah, Shahrukh Khan, movies, cricket, electronics, gadgets, and cars. I think this is what defines me. And anything and everything except architecture and building and stuff. So that is what I'd like to say about myself. Yeah.
Gotcha. What was meeting Shah Rukh Khan like? Let's go, if you don't mind sharing about that story. Like, talk to us about the sort of how that happened and how you felt and how the experience after it was.
Absolutely. So okay, so let me start from the beginning. I was a huge Shah Rukh Khan fan. I still am. But for some reason, I just never wanted to meet him. I don't know how weird this might sound, but I have reasons for it. I never wanted to meet him. I'll tell you why. Because I was actually happy in his non-existence. I'm like, he's at his place. I'm here. I'm a fan. He's the biggest star. I'm happy this way. I don't want to meet him. I'm not that kind of fan, who if I were to spot any of my celebrity crushes or my celebrity idols anywhere, I would never disturb them, dude. I'm not that kind of fan who would go on like a hooligan. Oh, no, I need to no, absolutely not. I'm a very peace-loving guy. I would just, observe them, and I think that's what I am. So, for this same reason, this is one of the small reasons, but one of the major reasons was, it's like I always picture. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna meet Shah Rukh Khan. and then what? Like that would be the end of life for me. I'm like, okay, I'm a mad fan, but once I meet him, what else will I have to look forward to in my life? So I'm like, you know what? I don't want my life to end. I'm happy this way.
Oh
So
wow.
I never wanted to meet him. I'm like, no, I will wage a war and I will fight for him, but I will never meet him. I don't want to meet him. Another reason is, um, I kind of negotiated with myself a little bit after a while. I thought, when people meet him, everyone, literally everyone, the first line, I'm such a big fan. That is not what I wanted to utter. I'm like, I don't want to say those cliche things. I'm such a big, girls do this with no offense at all.
Yeah.
Every girl, all the female fans and the fan following that he has, that is great. But everyone goes like, I'm the biggest fan. I'm the biggest fan. So it's for no one to judge or put a stamp here. Okay, no, you are the true bigger fan. So
Right.
something of that sort. I'm like, you know what? I do not want to be in that league at all. What I wanted was, I wanted to find myself. It's like हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना पहले अपनी खुद की पहचान. I want to, have my own identity. And when I was famous enough, or when I was credible enough that people recognize me from my work, that's when I would like to go and meet Shah Rukh Khan, and that's when Shah Rukh Khan would be like, oh, this is that guy who does this, and he's a fan. I wanted him to remember me that way, not like a crazy normal fan. I'm not saying crazy fans are normal, but there are a lot of crazy fans. I like to be distinct, so these are the two things that I had, and so I never wanted to meet him. But the thing that happened with me is, so I became a part of. So he has a lot of fan clubs. If you know, it's called SRK Universe. He has it almost in 45, 48 odd countries. If you want Twitter, just write SRK Universe. You'll see the number of countries. It's really something. I mean, he has a fan club in countries like Nigeria, Ecuador, Philippines, Japan. It's literally SRK Universe Ecuador, SRK Universe Japan. It's something to see. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Go on Twitter and you'll find this out. So it's a very proud thing for him and also us fans. So there is an SRK Universe UAE, of course, since this is such a big market.
Right.
And I became a part of it in 2016 when his film Fan was about to release. So that's when I met a lot of common fans, crazy fans of Shah Rukh, mostly males, less females. Not that I'm complaining, but it was a shocker to me. I'm like, yeah, fan club group hai, like a teenager. You're like, man, where are the girls? Like,
Right.
why is it everything with guys? But no, there are genuine fans of him from 90s, like old times. It's like there are people of our father's age with due respect. And they are huge Shah Rukh Khan fans. And it gives me immense pleasure to talk about them because the things that they talk about him from the 90s when we were not even born is just something to hear. That's another experience.
Right.
So that. Anyway, so I became a part of this fan club, and I went for the, so we used to go first day, first show for his movies, 2016, 27 years in the game, 2017, a lot of his movies. But then something happened during 2018, during Zero. I don't know if you've seen the film.
I've not.
I advise you not to, but maybe you can give it a watch once. But see, this is one thing that I think I'm extremely critical about myself and also the things that I watch or the opinions that I have. I have like a self tick box kind of thing in my own self, which I know ticks off with generally the perception of the world, or let's say a general audience from the world will agree with the tick box or with the check mark that I have inside me. So that works out, that pans out well for me. I don't know if that makes sense again. But I really didn't like the movie Zero, which released in 2018 December. And so I expressed my discontentment on the group. I'm like, people were like, oh, box office number and the movie didn't earn so well. I'm like, I don't care. Anyway, we are not those kind of fans. Shah Rukh is in a league of his own, if we say. Amir Khan is in a league of his own. There's no comparison. I'm not even going to talk about the third Khan because I hate him to the core. I'm not going to take names
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only one movie of Salman Khan which I like, which is Bajrangi Bhaijaan, which I think is genuinely a very heartwarming, very heartfelt film. I don't know if you've seen that again. Have you lost touch with with Bollywood movies, or do you watch?
I watch some of them. Thing is, I don't keep up with movies as much in general, not just Hollywood movies, even Bollywood movies. I
Okay,
don't keep up. There's
right.
one movie I always go back to on Netflix or on any other platform. It's
Which is?
Mehuna. I'll always go back and
Oh,
watch Mehuna.
oh, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mehuna is something. I'll tell you something. Just off topic.
Yeah.
College movies. The movies which have college themes. If you notice, whether it be in Hollywood, Bollywood, or any language, they're really nice to look and feel and kind of the theme is really catchy because I think everyone cherishes their college days a lot. So themes. So let's say Three Idiots. Let's say Mehuna.
Yeah.
Let's say what's there in Hollywood. Mean Girls, or I don't know the guy picks. American Pie. Give or take. That is also a
Yeah.
college time. And those are the movies that stick with you for the longest time. So I think that's a very good choice. Anyway, coming back, so I had just expressed my discontentment in the group, and I got kicked out of the group by the admin.
Oh wow.
Because he was like, we don't have space for fake fans here. I'm like,
no.
you know what? I don't need to define my fandom to you.
Right.
I don't need to prove it to anyone. I don't want to meet Shahrukh and prove myself to him. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So I never had anything in my heart. But what happened with me was, so there is this crazy fangirl of Shahrukh in the group. I won't name her. She kind of had a liking towards me, is what my friends tell me. I don't believe that, but my friends tell me because, okay, you kind of dressed up like the characters of him in his movies, and maybe that's why. Whatever it is. So this female, she's always nice to me. Even today, I thank her, and it's because of her that I got to meet him.
Oh wow.
That I got to
Okay.
meet Shahrukh. So I won't take her name, but she knows who I'm talking about if she sees this. So she actually had gone to UK for studies. She was here. She used to stay in near Virgin Islands, and she had a media friend. Surprisingly, it's like she had like, what do you call, some some magical fate. I don't know how she just used to win competitions. It was just pure luck. Prateek, you won't believe. It's like, how many times have you seen a person get get a chance to meet Shahrukh like 3-4 times just by winning a contest? That too on Facebook. It's just so random. I don't know, lady luck or something.
Yeah.
She was just so lucky. And she had made a friend through that, through those contests, or I think just an acquaintance which she turned into friendship later on. So she had a media friend which was common, and she always, whenever Shahrukh used to come here for his movie promotions, she used to go through this guy. He used to give her some work, and she just used to get to hang around with Shahrukh till he was doing interviews for 3, 4, 5 hours. And I'm like, who gets that kind of opportunity?
Right.
What happened is, in 2018, she was in UK. She was doing her masters, and Shahrukh had come here for zero promotions. And
to UAE.
Yeah, to UAE. And she gladly, and till date glad to her, she passed on the opportunity to me. And I asked her, I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to meet. She's like, why? I'm like, no, I'm fine. Thank you so much. Like, I would ever be this thankful to anybody else. You're giving me such a big chance. She's like, you don't have to do anything. You have to just I'm giving you this chance. Why not? And she told me, she's like, I think you're a true fan. You deserve to meet him. So when she told the word deserve, I'm like, no, man, because I had my things in my mind. I'm like, you know what? I'm nothing today. I'm absolutely nothing. I don't want to meet him like this. But she said, okay, so what the thing is, you have to do something. It's not like you get to meet him for free or like a crazy fan. So I had to actually, so it was a press conference. He was in a hotel here in Dubai near Festival City. Again, I won't name the hotel, but it's his favorite hotel. When he comes, he stays there. So it was a press conference, like a media meet, before the promotions, like giving interviews to all colleagues and the news channel. and I had to make passes. I had to make badges for the event. So I had to literally. It was such a funny story. I literally made around 80 odd badges, handmade. Like I hand cut and I handmade those badges, and and I made all the badges. So I supplied it to people. So I knew how the badges were made. I could take as many people as I want because I could make the badge right at home. So I took my friends and my friends helped me, and we went and I got to meet him. I'll show you. I'll share that picture with you. Um, and so what put ice or what cooled me down before meeting him was I didn't get to meet him for free. I worked for it. I made badges. I'm a part of his promotion. I worked for something. I worked to meet him. It's not
Yeah.
free. That was my incentive. So I think that is what kept me at peace in my heart because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to make this way. My friend. And I think, till date, it hasn't hit me that I met the Shahrukh Khan. I'm not
Right.
kidding, Prateek. It's just so surreal. Even today, I don't realize it. I never post these things. I'm a very private guy. Even on Twitter, if you see, I don't use other social media. I don't
Yeah.
use Facebook. I don't use Insta at all. I'm a very private guy that way. I'm good. I'm socially awkward on media, but I'm not socially awkward in person. I connect very well. I socialize when in person a lot. But I think social media is something where it just ticks me off because the behavior that people have these days is kind of pointless. They are just doing for the heck of it, for the likes, for whatever reason it is. And
Yeah.
whatever gives them peace, that's fine. I'm no one to judge. But that's not the thing for me.
Right.
There's nothing. If there's nothing genuine, I am not a part of it. Anyway, so that experience, it's like I remember. It's like he had kept his hand on my. This is a very girly thing to say, but it's such a huge deal. Just imagine the Shahrukh Khan. He has 3.54 billion fans in the world. And I'll tell you another thing. He was actually scheduled to go to Global Village. If you remember Global
Yeah.
Village, he was scheduled to go there to meet people.
Okay.
Prateek and I met him at the hotel. Just picture this. People are waiting like crazy for him at Global Village, and I just clicked a picture with him hand in hand, like just before the event. That was something to me. That was really, really something to me. So many things attached to it. My parents, they're very reclusive. They're kind of conservative, and they have the reasons. I don't try to change them. I've tried but failed. That never
Yeah.
works. With Desi parents. Not speaking low of them, but just some
Yeah.
things that your parents need to let go of. Like I think for you, your parents. For me, your parents are so cool because they sent you to another country to study. My parents would never think of that. If I'd say, what, forget another country. If I go like, yo, I'm going to Abu Dhabi for some week, they'd be like, okay, how many days? When are you coming back? Why are you going there? What is it? That is something that I've been trying to change, but again, that's up to God and
Yeah.
whatever. The point of me saying is that day I had asked my parents if I can go and see Shahrukh. I was in uni and I'm like, I'll finish uni and I'll go see him in Global Village. I had a car, I drive, I had my license. And my parents just straight up said no. Despite of knowing the fact that I'm such a huge fan, I'm like, he's coming here for free. Like, I want to see him. And they're like, no. And I didn't tell them the details that I'm not going to Global Village. What I wanted to do was, I knew I was meeting him for sure. I wanted to come home and surprise them with the picture. And believe me, Prateek, I have not shown them that picture till date. My parents don't know I met Shahrukh Khan. It's such a riveting thing, because I came home that day and my father still asked me, he's like, you went, didn't you? I'm like, no, I didn't go. He's like, don't lie. I'm like, why would I lie? You told me not to go, I didn't go. So I kept it on that page, you know why? Because they're like, oh, he didn't obey me. So I'm like, okay, I obeyed you. But I had my thing also. So
yeah,
I think that's where I have a little bit of difference with my parents, but I hope to cover it someday. So many stories like this. But yeah, meeting Shahrukh Khan has been a very surreal experience. Till date, it hasn't hit me. I don't know when it will. Maybe when I work with him someday, but I don't know. That is what has been my journey. Thank God I met him before COVID, man.
I know, right? I know. I
It
know.
would have been something else. I share that picture with you. Just a quick remark, and
Yeah.
I think you can ask me another question to them.
But yeah, in the
Sure.
meantime, I think, like the fact that you got to meet him, which you, and I personally find like the whole arc of the story very fascinating because you said you didn't want to meet him without doing any work. You didn't want it to feel like it was free. Um,
Yeah.
while that girl, that female friend of yours who gave you the pass,
Which
who's like, yeah, you deserve to do this, but you didn't feel like it until you actually did it. And the
Yeah.
fact that you did it, like through that, there's a lot of questions that popped up for me about what you personally believe from there. But yeah, all of it is just so fascinating. I will check that
Yeah.
picture out in a moment, but
Sure.
because I think it'll start, like it'll affect the recording if I do now.
No, definitely. We can move on. Yeah.
But if you don't mind, do you mind me putting it on the recording on
No,
top if I?
absolutely.
Okay, okay, cool. I'll do
I
that.
think this is my moment where I can share it with people. I'm like, okay, it's through my friend. Yeah, why not?
Okay, awesome. Like, yeah, the question that I was gonna, I mean, did you want anything? Do you want to add anything to that?
No. I think I'm done. Yeah, you can go
Okay.
on.
No, but that's like I said, the arc is so beautiful. Like, and I, funnily enough, I tweeted something about this earlier today about like earning versus deserving in terms of, you know, how a lot of the times we're told we deserve so many things in life, but
Yeah,
even
we
I'm
don't get
also
them.
right. And yeah, we don't get them. And I'm also for the person or a similar school of thought where I want to earn something. I don't want to make it feel like I've just been given this for the fact that I'm
Right,
so and so person.
exactly.
So, why do you think that that's important for us as human beings? Like, do you think it's a good thing or do you think it's a bad thing? What does your mental compass feel about that?
So you're asking about what a person deserves and gets, or what a person earns and gets. Is that your question?
Sort of like, what do you make of the two? Like the combination of the two, like in terms of earning something versus deserving something. How do you feel about that whole concept in general?
It's a very nice question, and I have high regards to this. I think it's interlinked. It's clearly connected. Um, when we say that a person is deserving, or if we deserve something, is because we think highly of a thing or of a circumstance or of a situation, whether it be materialistic or whatever thing.
Yeah.
We think that's just in our head. But have you ever thought of the perception of God? God always gives you a certain thing when it's the right time, the right place, and when you're in the right mindset to achieve it or to get it. So I think it's really interconnected. When we talk of earning, I think what you earn is what you deserve. Like what you earn when you work for something, what you earn is what you eventually deserve.
Right.
Or maybe something better you earn, and maybe you get something better than what you think you were deserving. So I think it's clearly connected. I have a high regard for this. I have another story. It's a bit long as well, but
no, go for it by all means. If you're comfortable sharing, I have no qualms whatsoever. Go for it.
But I'd like to. No, I've been doing a lot of talking. I want you to ask me certain things. I will definitely share the story about earning and deserving about me, but I want you to ask me questions. Just a moment. I think my AirPods are out of charge. I just put one of them for charge.
Yeah.
Let me know if my voice breaks or if you can't hear me, if there's any hiccups. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. We'll do.
Okay.
We'll do. So yeah, I mean, we can expand on that earning versus deserving thing. I'd like for you to talk about it because I think it's a very important concept that sometimes we don't necessarily think about. Because a lot of the times when things don't go our way, it's very easy to be like, oh, I deserved it. Like I put in 5 years of work for this, but I'm still not getting it. You know, you said, and like the fact that you just said, like, you earn what you deserve.
Yeah.
All of that just like sort of adds up for me personally. So I'd like for you to expand on that a little more.
The story, I'll start with a quote. Not a quote, but yeah, it's just a saying. It's in our religion. It's an Islamic quote, and I think it gives a lot of hope. So the quote is, if you don't get something, never lose heart, never get disheartened, because God's plan are way above and way bigger than you can ever think of, than you can ever imagine, than you can ever dream of. And that is what's on my WhatsApp as well. Like, do not get disheartened when you don't get certain things. When you're tirelessly working for something, God is seeing every single thing. So He knows, and there is who else can better be a judge of what you deserve and what you need and what not. So when you think, it's like, let's put it in numbers, because I think as humans, we all understand numbers better. So let's say you think that you deserve something 110%, and for us, it's like 100% is like the sky, like in terms of numbers, 100 is the sky, like 100 is the limit. But we think 110% we deserve something. Maybe for God, that is just 10%, because maybe God's numbers are 1,000. Maybe He works with K's, so He works with 1,000% deserve. And maybe He has something which is 1,000% that you deserve. And you are thinking of something which is just 100%. It's just 10% in God's eyes. So which is better, the one that God thinks or the one that you think? So I always, the point is I always me personally, and also I'd like to give this out, that we always need to look into the positives of whatever the situation be. If you have that kind of a mindset, I don't think anything can bog you down, because let's say something bad happens in your life. If you're even able to see positives in that, I think you have a stable mind, you have a positive outlook, is what they say. I think that's very important, because many a times, we say we are positive or we want to rather be positive, but a lot of things get our nerves, get hold of us, and we're not always, be able to be positive. We run out of patience. Another important word over here is, I think, patience. Patience is so very important, Prateek. I cannot stress enough. I think you might agree to this. Patience is such an important word, such a strong word. And I think if a person can be steadfast and patient for something all his life, I don't think anything can even, it's like a person becomes invincible in terms of his mind and heart. That I'll just switch in Hindi and say, it's like, itna wait kar liya, ab aur kya hoga? Like, how much worse is it gonna get? Right. So I think it's all that way. Again, coming to earning and deserving, if you're tirelessly working hard for something, if you're trying to earn something, you will definitely get something better than what you deserve. Is what I'd like to end on. We all have personal arcs to this. Some things that we really want to do in life. And I wish for everyone who is listening to this or thinking about this, I wish they get it, man. And if they don't, we should not lose heart, because God always, in some or the other way, compensates for it. If we don't get a certain thing, God definitely compensates for it. And I don't know how, it's like we don't even have that kind of thinking, because we are humans. I think they say that we only I think we only have unlocked 5% or 10%. We only use 5% of our brains. And so just picture this: God has given us something, we are not even able to utilize it to the maximum potential. We are not challenging or questioning, but kind of questioning God, that why, God, I deserve this, or I'm working so tirelessly hard, why am I not getting it? I think God is the better judge, the best judge rather, each and every single thing. So I think my headphones have gone out. So sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, is the background better, or?
It's about the same. It's about the same. But yeah, we can work with it. That's totally fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a second. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's that, man. That's that. What would you like to add? I want to know your perspective as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I think a lot of the times, and I've been there myself too. I think we all have in one way or another, where you feel disappointed for not getting something you wanted.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the times, like you said, the God, or if God or anything else that people believe in, be it the universe or anything else, like we get some things from those sources that we don't necessarily think are better than what we were wanting. Part of it could be because we are still sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Part of it is because we're attached to that thing that we want, that we don't want to look away from it.
Yeah.
And part of it is also that we're not seeing what we have in front of us. And that can
Exactly.
take time. It's not that easy, because after all, we're all humans. We all have material needs and wants, and that can keep us attached to something that we want, but it's not necessarily right for us. And the external higher power knows what is better for us and what isn't. And I'm a firm believer of that too. Like you, I'm a firm believer of that too. So I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of the times it's just us not seeing what's in front of us.
Yeah. And we can't blame ourselves for that. It's because, as they say, you only value something when you lose it or when you don't have it. So we can't, as humans, I think we're stubborn. We have a very broad, a very narrow perspective. We don't broaden our horizons and our thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's just how we work. So it's okay. We always, I'd say we don't always, God doesn't always give us second chances. Maybe he does. But again, maybe it's just my outlook. Maybe I haven't been seeing him in that way. Maybe God always gives a second chance. Maybe I'm wrong in saying this. But if we do lose something and realize its worth and value, and if we get it a second time, I think that's when we are more humble. That's when we are a bit more thankful. I think we are all thankless creatures. We don't thank God enough for the basic things that He does for us, for the things that He does which we don't even realize. Such nuances, Prateek. I can just share an example without it being concrete, but for a fact, if you and me ponder upon it, it will be so true. Let's just say you and me were driving somewhere.
Yeah.
Do some good deed in God's eyes. Okay, I won't mention or say whatever we do, whatever.
Yeah.
And and that happens, and we're driving, and that happens to be our death day, okay, or something bad is supposed to happen to us, and God just thinks, what, this guy did this, which was written by me. Okay, let me just digress over here. When we say, okay, I'd like to ask you, do you believe in this saying that everything is written or everything happens for a reason, for good reason? Do you believe in this?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I was actually talking about this in the episode that recently came out, which is this Friday at the time of recording, that I do believe that everything happens for a reason, be it, where you end up, good or bad, experiences that you have, be it big or small. There's something to pick out of those. And that's why it happens for a reason. So, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I'm a firm believer in that too.
Okay. So we both agree on, okay, everything happens for a reason. But I don't know if this is just my religion thing, but I think it's common for all that God has written the universe. Like God has written the story of our lives, of Earth, of everything right at our inception. So in our religion, it's described this way. I'm pretty sure it's the same in your religion as well. But it's just in different ways. But it's one and the same thing. That the moment you are your life is how do you say blown, like with your mouth, like when God blows your life into your mother's womb, that is when the time of your death and everything in your life is already written, like everything is already decided. So for me, both the things are contradictory. It's like, let's say God has written everything, and then something bad happens with you, like extremely bad, some loved one passes away or something really bad, you break your leg, whatever. And you just start thinking, you start questioning God. You're like, how can God be so sadistic? Or did God write this for me that I break my leg with these many bones, blah, blah, blah. No. So I think it's very contradictory, but what I have recently, and I'm sharing this for the first time out of my mind, I've had this thought, but I've never opened my mouth on this, and I'm glad I can share it with someone as sane and as understanding as you, because not very many people can understand what I say sometimes. people even question me. They're like, "Why do you use Twitter?" I'm I'm not answerable to you. They're like,
Mm.
you're just so outdated. People say, I've never ever posted a story in my life, like maybe a couple of times on WhatsApp, that too for my friends' birthdays, but I'm not a story guy. I'm not a guy who shares everything of his life. Anyway, I'm digressing. Coming back, the contradictory part that I said, everything is written and God's will. So
Mm.
what I've come to understand is God has written everything, but it is a byproduct of your actions.
Mm.
So God has written everything, based on options. Like, okay, we are in a situation. It can go south, it can go north, it can go straight.
Right.
So depending on what we end up doing or choosing to do, that's what happens. And God has written all three parts. It's like maybe we do good, maybe we do bad, maybe we stay neutral. But God has written all three parts. So when we say God has written everything, he has, but it also depends on our actions.
Mhm.
What we do. If you choose the good part, then what God has written good for you will happen. It's
Yeah.
not like you do bad and what good was written for you will come in this part. No.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? There are three different parts, and God has written all three of them. But it also depends on you. When we say, have you seen the movie Bruce Almighty? Sorry, this is off topic, but have you seen the movie Bruce Almighty?
Bruce Almighty?
Jim Carrey and
No, I
Morgan
haven't.
Freeman.
No.
Okay, I think you need to watch it. It's funny. It's just a one-time watch, but it's nice. So in that movie, what happens is Morgan Freeman is God, and things are not been going right for Bruce, which is Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey, the brilliant actor and comedian that he is,
Mm-hmm.
he just wishes one day some magic, I don't remember the exact arc, but like some magic, something happens, and he's like, God, if I could just have your powers for one day, and
Mm.
it's granted to him. And Morgan Freeman, he's playing God,
Yeah.
and he says there are a couple of rules. And one of the rules that very strikingly stood out to me and I never understood until now is he said, like, Morgan Freeman is God, and picture God saying this. He's like, you can't mess with free will. As in,
Mm.
as God, Morgan Freeman
Yeah.
is giving his powers to Bruce for one day. So
Right.
Bruce is God, Jim Carrey is God for one day. And he says, you can't mess with free will. What does that mean? I never understood that. I'm like, what does that mean? He's God. He can do everything. He does all kind of shit. He separates water into half. He gets the car that he wants. He brings the moon down. Whatever in the movie. Well, it's really nice. But Bruce asks him a question back. He's like, why?
Mm.
And imagine what Morgan Freeman replies. So Morgan Freeman says, you can't mess with free will. Bruce said, why? And Morgan Freeman says, that's the beauty of it. You can ask why.
Mm.
Did you understand this? If you didn't, I'd really like to clear it out. The point that he made there is God has free will. Nobody is there to stop God.
Yeah.
Okay. But as a human, see, we can't have the thinking that God has. Now, this is just the
Right.
movie part. Maybe it's higher. But the point here is God also has free will.
Right.
But God doesn't do anything bad, right? Wrong.
Yeah.
In his books, there
Yeah.
is no bad for him. The wrong or right is in our minds, is in
Right.
our, it's on the earth, it's in the world. It's not in his books. So when a human who gets God's power says why, he asks, why can't I mess with free will? God is like, that's the beauty of it. You as a human, you can ask why.
Mm.
But you are getting God's power, but you are still a human. It's such a minute thing which I understood later on. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot he's a human. Like,
Yeah.
he's getting God's power, he doesn't become God. He gets God's powers, he doesn't become God. Although it's claimed that it's such a dichotomous thing, it's such a contradictory, very minute thing. I don't know if I've read this clearly, if my words were right, or if you clearly understood this, but this is what I make of earn, believe, destiny.
Yeah.
I think I covered a lot of topics.
No. I totally get what you're saying because a lot of the times when we say that everything happens for a reason,
or everything was written, then a lot of the times there's this other school of thought that questions the choices that we make, or like, then why am I doing this bad thing if everything is written? Shouldn't
Yes,
God be writing everything good? Like, why am I doing
exactly,
this bad thing? And I think
exactly.
that goes back to what you just said. It goes back to the choices that we make. We have options. It's a multiple choice question, and
It
we
is.
have
It is.
A, B, C, D.
Yes.
For anything you pick, God has an answer for that, or the universe has an answer for that, and you just sort of take that path, and that's where you end up. And very much so, just like you said, I'm a firm believer in us existing as souls, and our bodies just being like figures to carry the soul,
Yeah,
and that we're constantly evolving as souls. So,
absolutely.
and taking those paths, be it right or wrong, because again, that question of right or wrong is very much subjective to us as human beings. What
Yes.
might be right to me might be wrong to you, or vice
Yeah.
versa.
Nice.
Because for example, like if a robber is going out like to steal something, maybe, I mean, I'm not justifying robbing, but if somebody's going out to steal something for his family because his son hasn't eaten in 2 days, for you, you're going to say it's wrong. But in his
But
eyes,
yeah,
that's the best way that he can do it. Again,
yeah,
he's a choice. It's a choice that he's making, and the result for it will come in some way or another. I'm
yeah,
nobody to say this is what should
yeah,
happen, but
yeah.
he's seeking that path to be able to feed his child.
Yes.
So, for me, that is wrong, but for him at that moment, that is right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's very
Very
subjective.
true.
And yeah, it's
Yes.
just, I agree with you 100%. No disagreement over there. 100% agree.
Very true. Yeah, I'm glad, dude. I'm so happy to have this outburst of thoughts, and the fact that we have the same school of thought. Yeah, actually, it's a lot to do with, again, as we're talking of choices.
Yeah.
Prateek, why do you use Twitter? Simple question.
Simple question. Well, I guess it's a multiple layered answer. And if you don't mind me sort of digging into that a little more, I think
Go on.
a part of it is because I think I wanted to sort of create a following for this thing that I do. Because the intention with me starting this was to sort of avoid the things that happen on Twitter, like what happened to you. You got kicked out of a fan group because you had views that didn't agree with the collective view. And that very much happens with everybody, like be it news media, be it anything else. Like for me, the goal was to at least do my due diligence to sort of try and create a platform where through a podcast or through my pages, that where even if we have differing opinions, we can come and talk about it. I am not going to kick you out. I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to like do random things to sort of avoid you from sharing your perspective. And taking that path for me would have helped me evolve my thought as well. Because don't get me wrong, I'm human too, after all. And whenever someone says something, a part of me questions it. I'm like, but why though? Like, why are you this way? But then it takes that sort of retrospective thinking, which again, I think it comes with sort of practice and being constantly sort of switched on in that way to understand that, look, they're doing those things based off of their experiences and the choices that they make and what they think is right and wrong. So you have to be accepting of that, even if you don't agree with it. So for that reason, I started this, and I saw Twitter as an opportunity for me to sort of grow a following, even if it's small, to start from there. And also the other reason why I use Twitter is because I've heard a lot of people say, or at least I've mentioned this in the previous episode that came out, but I follow this YouTuber called Beer Biceps. I don't know if you've heard of him. I have. Yeah. So I follow him a lot. I've been following him for a while now. And he mentioned Twitter and how there's actually a good side to Twitter that people don't necessarily see. So I was like, okay, let me go check this out. Because I honestly have had my Twitter account since 2010. I think I made it when I was still in Dubai. That's how long I've had that Twitter account. But I haven't been active on it as much as I have for the past 6 months. That's all the activity that I've done in the past 11 years or so that I've had Twitter. So one of the reasons why I like to sort of answer your question was that sort of school of thought where you would go on Twitter, and this honestly, like a lot of it goes back to the choices that we make in terms of the people that you follow. If you want trash, there is trash on Twitter too. Absolutely. Right. And if you want something good, good out of it, there's good out of it too. One of my guests that I've had on the podcast, I met through Twitter, and he's a podcaster himself, and he's a great guy. Like when I spoke to him too, he was a really nice guy, and like he sort of made me comfortable when I was nervous to talk to him. So yeah, so you have those sort of experiences when you look at the good things that some things have to offer.
Right.
Which sometimes, if we have a predisposition or some sort of judgment, we don't look at those good things. I think that that's available, that we are blinding ourselves to. So totally. To come back to the question, that's one of the reasons why I decided to go onto Twitter, because I thought I could create a following, and at the same time I could enrich my mind with some of the things that people share. Because it's very true. Like sometimes when you read something, it might offend you, but you can sort of build that self-awareness or that sense of understanding. Okay, ask yourself this: why are you being offended by what you're reading? Is it something that is internally sort of bugging you? Or, I think it's given me the opportunity to be a little more self-aware and sort of question some of the thoughts that I have. And sure, it can take you to some rabbit holes, but I think within those rabbit holes are where some of the answers are. So I hope that answers that question.
That's great. Now, see, I'd like to ask you more on this.
Go for it.
Just a short answer. A B part to this question is, why only Twitter? Why not any other platform? Let's say, I don't know, Reddit or Facebook for that matter. Why not these platforms? Why only Twitter? Is what I intended to ask. I like your answer, really, but what I'm trying to grab here is a deeper meaning. I'll tell you why. If you can answer this, why not other platforms?
So the three platforms that so when I started this as a goal, or like started this as a sort of project, if you will, I targeted three social media platforms: YouTube, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Because you need to have outreach if you want this to grow. And I personally, not for monetary reasons. I mean, because I'm a college student, I just wanted to do this, see what happens. I started with the intention of doing it for a year, and then we'll see what happens. It's only been about 3.5 months, and honestly, it's been a great gift. I've had sleepless nights because of it, but I'm grateful for the experiences. The fact that I'm able to talk to you, all of that happened because of me taking that step. So I'm very grateful to that.
I see you growing, Prateek. Like it's on your face, the glow. Your Insta, I genuinely, what a person writes, the choice of words, the way you're putting everything down. I think you have a long way to go, man. I wish you all the luck to it. Go on.
Thank you. I appreciate. I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much.
I'm saying it out of genuine appreciation, genuine thought, and genuineness that I see in you.
Thank you.
Carry on with your answer.
So basically, that was more of a strategy thing, more than a sort of, it was more strategic than anything. I was like, okay, I'll create a space on these three platforms for now, and then if it grows, then I can spread my wings to other platforms like Facebook or whatever else. Because Instagram is where like things are a little more hip, if you will. Like a lot of the cool kids are on Instagram, and YouTube is the video platform where I can upload my podcasts and all that sort of stuff. And Twitter is where I can share my thoughts. Whatever that cooks in this head of mine can go on Twitter. It can go on Instagram too, but the following for that is not as much as it is on Twitter. So that's the reason why I chose those three specifically.
Okay. Perfect. I think it's perfectly balanced with the way you answered it in layers. But now I'll tell you my perception of Twitter. My reason for being on Twitter is, again, Shahrose Khan.
Yeah.
It's like, all of his fan base. I think he joined in 2010 as well. During My Name is Khan. I think 2009. God, it's such a, if I don't know his first day of joining, it's such a disgrace. But no, he joined in 2010 is what I know.
Okay.
And I joined Twitter because of him. I'm like, okay, you know what? He's going to post his personal stuff. He's going to write. And that's why, as a fan, I'm like, okay, we'll join. But I didn't know it's going to turn up. Honestly, I'm so sorry about
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't know if you remember, but Dubai was what like this. This has gotten worse, dude. I don't know how is it in US, but there are a lot of noisy cars here. And as an enthusiast, I love it. But it's very disturbing. Okay. Twitter has become like an escape for me. It's like a different world. And I'd like to break this down for you. Prateek, you say that Twitter is a sense of self-awareness for you, right? How does that self-awareness come? When you read something, when you stop, you ponder, you think, and you, whether you want to reply to it, whether you're not, or whether you just go in a deep school of thought, and that thing just sticks with you for a long time, or maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just a joke, whatever you read. See, Twitter is somehow, I don't know how, it is just intellectual. I've seen this with my friends as well. And all of us have different followings. Like, I might not be following the same pages or the same likes. I don't have the same likes as you or my friends or whatever. But for some reason, because of the way Twitter is, which is a platform where you write, fearlessly, I think it makes a lot of difference. Because if you see Instagram, it's for how you. So I tweeted this, and I just want to cut it short and say it that way. Instagram is for people who want to see or show how they look. But Twitter is for people who want to see or show how they think or how they write, which is so true. And if you, forget Instagram, that's hip and all, that's fine. Maybe tomorrow another platform is hip. Snapchat was hip a few time. I think a few years back. Now it's Insta.
I think TikTok's the new thing, but I'm not really on TikTok either, so I don't care.
TikTok, I think TikTok has been, but honest to God, thank God I never downloaded TikTok. I just feel it's like a V category, not V. I think it's very terrible, man. There are good things, there are good ways, but I think it's a bit too loud for my taste. I'd say so I never downloaded TikTok. Snapchat as well. I've never had Snapchat because I'm not that kind of a guy. Do you know the origin of Snapchat? Why Snapchat was originally invented? Do you know what Snapchat was for?
No, I don't know the story about this now.
So, and before me finding this reason out, I always had a dislike. I'm like, what is this? What's the point of seeing something for 15 seconds and it's just vanishing away? And snaps, it's not like stories now. Snap, you cannot. It's just one time. You can't open them again. Unless you've sent a personal snap. If I'm not wrong, I don't use it. I've never, I'll use it on others' phone, but I never had Snapchat. Snapchat was originally intended for porn stars.
Really?
Yes, you can go and find this out.
Oh, wow. Google. Okay.
Not porn stars, but like for, those sneaky, peeky, snap. Just a very quick look, and that's it. It's gone. That is what it was originally intended for. And when I found this reason out, I'm like, well, I just, I couldn't be more right. I felt so good. I'm like, thank God. I'm like, anyway, I didn't like Snapchat. I'm like, okay, this is an even more concrete reason for me not to be there. Half the people don't even know the origin story of WhatsApp or Snapchat. I'm not saying it's important for everyone to know. But at least have some sense in what you're doing, some reasoning. Just because everyone does it does not mean you are supposed to be entitled to it, or you have to do it. I don't like that. See, this is what I hate about social media today. People just do things mindlessly. They don't put thought, no effort. They don't think just because, usne kiya, he did it, I have to do it as well. That's so juvenile, man. Don't you have a brain for yourself? Where are you? I don't like it. That's the reason why I hate social media. I strongly feel it's just misguiding today. Social media is supposed to be a boon, I think. I forgot the meanings of the word boon and bane. I studied it in 12. I'm so sorry. But I think boon is the positive one, right? Boon is the advantage.
Yeah, I would think so. Boon is kind of like a blessing, yes.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a boon and it's turning out to be a bane now, or at least it has turned out. So yeah, coming back to all of this, let's just compare, forget all the other platforms, let's just compare Facebook. Right. So if you see a post on Twitter, whatever it is, okay, you feel something, you write. You don't feel something, you scroll. Okay, what is Facebook? Facebook before was Facebook is the one that started the social media revolution, right? We were all on Facebook for the first platform ever, right?
Right.
And that time it was genuinely a good platform. People used to share their pictures, people used to write stuff, and it was very, very communicative, very, very friendly. But over the years, it's just changed into something else. Today, Facebook is something else, with the memes and all, that's just a different thing. But let's say you post the same thing. Okay, let's say this. The quick brown fox jumps over the blah blah, whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
You post this on Twitter and you post this on Facebook. Do you know that the kind of response that we get on both platforms, they are like poles apart.
Yeah.
On Facebook, it's more like a comment thing. See, Twitter also has replies and comments. But on Facebook, it's like when you have friends and when you comment on a certain thing, the others come to, question you or answer to you or block you or whatever. And then it's just a banter, You don't, and on Facebook, it's like you, again, also on Twitter, you follow pages, Facebook also you follow pages. But on Facebook, it's not random. It's what you select. But and I think it's changing now, which I hate. But on Twitter, see what I'm trying to say is, on Twitter, you will have posts of not only people that you follow, but the people that you follow, posts that, the people that they follow, it's like it multiplies. And you're like, how did I come up with this page? And you're like, oh, this person follows this. And then you can just post in your opinion. On Twitter, when you post a comment or when you reply, there is no judgment. You can indefinitely engage in a conversation with complete amount of strangers. Like absolutely nobody that you know from the comment section. You can just keep posting your opinion. And it's how Twitter works.
Yeah.
You say the same for Facebook. I'm afraid not. Because you don't have, on Facebook, the moment you question someone, they will click on it. Like, who are you? It's like, I want to swear right now, but like on Facebook is that a bit more personalized. And I think that is where Twitter takes the lead for me. I think it gives you that freedom to be as open and as we say, be unabashedly you. Like, unapologetically you. Like, you just, that is what you felt and that is what you wrote.
Right.
So I think that is such a big difference that people don't see. And, and then people come to ask me, why do you use Twitter? I'm like, I'm not even going to justify that with an answer to you. It's way above your understanding or, like mental pay grade. Like, forget it. I'm not telling you why I use Twitter. I don't need to mock them, but I'm just saying, like I don't need to answer you because you'll not understand.
Yeah.
I don't mean to mock people, but that's what I hate about people these days. Like minds have, I think, in terms of social media, people have become zombies. Like, like everyone's walking like a dead ass person. Okay, we like to just join the race. That's not what the world is supposed to be, or at least social media is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mouth is hurting speaking of all of this.
It's okay. But no, I see what you're saying, because a lot of the times, like if something trends or is trending rather, you have 100,000 people jumping on that bandwagon right away.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if you remember this Kiki challenge or something.
Absolutely. Come on.
People jumping out of cars and sort of like dancing people while the door is open.
Not a joke, dude. People died. People actually died. No. It was banned in UAE, by the way. And
really?
There was a 3,000 dirham fine if the police caught you doing Kiki challenge. I'm not even making this up.
Oh wow!
That was so cool. And the song was played everywhere. But if the police catch you doing a Kiki challenge, if someone reported you, $3,000 straight away. And I think you're in jail for 2 days. I think. But it was very strict, like UAE. This is one thing I really appreciate about UAE. Like no tolerance for bullshit. Like bullshit, get out of here. So yeah, carry on. You were saying something.
No, so like trends like that, like, they catch on, which are, and sure, like if you seek enjoyment in that is you. Yeah. I'm not going to be a judge of what you should enjoy and what you shouldn't enjoy. But at the same time, like I think while social media was created for us to be our authentic selves, we're going farther and farther away from that.
We have digressed very badly.
So it's sort of like, because that's what, like, even Facebook, the whole tagline with Facebook was, oh, you get to meet your friends whom you haven't seen for like 10 years or whatever. And that is, again, you're connecting with each other, being yourself. But now everything is just turning into its own echo chamber. And I don't mean to say that echo chambers are bad, because there are good echo chambers too. But yeah, it's just that sort of thing where while you would think that all of this is supposed to make us more authentic, it's doing the complete opposite. But bouncing off of that, do you think that social media can be a positive or can change
Absolutely.
into a positive? Yeah.
Of course, dude. Of course. And see, that's what they say, na? If you use something with the right intent, I think the intent is what matters the most. Because if you see, as you very nicely said, you're doing this, you're talking to people, you're sharing your podcast, you're sharing your views, and you said I asked you why all these platforms, and you very nicely layered and you gave me a balanced answer, which is very, very easily justifiable, and it's fair. But one thing that you said, and which I agree to as well, is when you said that not for monetary reasons, I'm not on YouTube. That's a secondary thing. So your intent is very clear that you want to do this for yourself, for just because you feel like doing it.
Right.
No justifications on, okay, I need to do this. Oh, my mind thought this 1 year ago, I have to do this or else I'll die. No, it's just what you felt. It's again very heartfelt, very genuine of you, and you don't have ulterior motives that, oh, you know what, I'm gonna be a millionaire with this. You're like, okay, you know what, let's see. Again, it's not wrong to think that way. It's a part of it's a part of the way the world is progressing today. People earn online more than our parents have ever earned working for 20 years.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just such a funny thing, but it's true. So I think the intent is very important, and of course, man, social media. People do use social media for positive, man. Like, if you see, I don't know. I haven't been on Facebook much very often now, but like, I regularly see on Twitter. I don't follow any hospitals or groups, but just for an example, I'll give you. I see regular posts with blood required over here, O positive or B positive. Can please help arrange? And people retweet that. People reply over there. I think it's a very healthy thing. So that's a very big positive, right? I mean, you can't reach everyone on Twitter, or forget Twitter also. You can't reach the amount of people that you reach on Twitter otherwise on telephone or text message. So I think, of course, if you use it with the right intent, social media can absolutely be a boon. But again, sadly, today it's something else. And that's why I hate Instagram, to be honest. Like, I haven't posted there in a long while. I think it's just, I don't know, I just hate it, man. Like, people do something. It's like, I don't have a problem with people sharing.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no point in the share that they have. Like, Prateek, why would I want to see what you ate today? Why would I want to see what you're doing? Okay, if it's a new thing, something new that you tried, or something that you put in effort, you made something, you cooked something, your mom made something new, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever. Okay, that is fair. That is fair, completely fair. Okay, my wife made something. Okay. But every day the same snap of food. Dude, it's pointless. Every day the same university. Okay, people post different stories. For that is all fine sharing, But, it's like you're going somewhere and mindlessly people just take out okay. Again, people are just driving. Who wants to see the road and music? I know there is a vibe to it. I understand that. I really do. I do that too. You know what? I do that too. But I have those recordings saved in my phone. I don't post it because that's for me. Again, this is my outlook. My perception. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
According to people, they would ask me, they're like, why do you record if you don't want to post? I record for myself, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get a 256 GB phone simply for no reason. I like having videos and photos. I have around 20,000 odd photos on my phone, videos. And I keep it to myself because I like to open them someday and what? I'm like, oh, this was a nice time. I like to remember. I like to be reminiscent of certain things. What do people do with stories? Once it's posted, that's it. It stays on their phone. They never view it back. Some things are just pointless. Like, let's say, Prateek, just give it a thought.
Yeah.
You go somewhere and there are fireworks or there's a fountain show. And we have this habit of recording things if they're really nice. Tell me if you ever opened that firework and watched it again on your phone, the whole thing. Have you ever done it?
Maybe once, maybe twice, but that's only if I saw that open up again.
Yeah, that's if you happen to go by over there. But did you not be like, oh, those fireworks were so nice, I want to go and watch them again? Okay. Again, point is that is completely fine because you recorded it and you kept it. But what about the people who post stories? Fine, they save it on their phones. But do they go back and open? Oh, I posted this 3 years back. Let me go and open it again. No, it's just gone. It's just lying there gathering dust in their phone. Like it's just pointless. And see, it's a very minute thing. I have the same thing. I'm not saying I'm different. Like I have the same kind of videos, photos kept in my phone. But I know for a fact I watch them. I know why I recorded them.
Yeah.
It's not like on every drive I record myself. Again, I'm not justifying my those vibe checks. I know there's a vibe, there's a certain feel with songs, there's mood, there's sunset. I get all of that, man. I get, and when it really makes sense to do that, fine. But if you do it every day, it's like if you do something every day, even if the thing that you love the most, you'll get bored of it.
Right.
Like you lose interest, you're out of it. So that is what happens with stories and social media. You should not do it. I think posting stories once a week or once a month, twice a month, I think that's fair. There should be some sort of a not evasive, but some sort of secrecy, some sort of privacy to you. People want to know, okay, he's posting 2 times. What's he up to? Let's just message him. We post countlessly, tirelessly every day, every night, every whatever. People just scroll through your stories mindlessly. It's like you just open the stories, it just goes through automatically all the stories, and that's it. That is what I hate about Facebook and Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm elaborating this a lot.
It's okay. No, I appreciate you putting this out. Yeah,
it's my hate. See, do you remember, like, Facebook was not so addictive? Do you know why? Can you count the reason? I tell you. Before, you had the power of playing and pausing a video on Facebook. Now, if there is a series of videos on Facebook, we just need to scroll and the video plays on its own until it stops. That was not there before. That is what has gotten people so addictive. Same thing on Insta. If you open a reel now, or before that when there was the explore page, if there's a video, you don't need to swipe, dude. Prateek, nobody swipes. It automatically switches. That is where you waste your time. Like Facebook and Instagram snatch that power away from you. When you have the power, and that's why I like YouTube. You can play, you can pause. Like, screw. Okay, now I hate the ad part, but again, that's okay.
You can make money, so yeah.
You can make money, okay. But see, that is what I think, that is where Facebook and Instagram has messed up. And I hate bloody Zuckerberg for this. I call him Zuckerberg because he's just ruined life for people. I don't know. Anyway, these are all my views, dude. I don't like. I'll be really shocked if someone shares the same views as me in this depth. Maybe you do to some extent, but I know for a fact I'm different, and I don't tell this to everyone. I don't tell this to people. My friends know it, like my inner circle, my friends, they understand, they know. I'm very different in certain things. I like to be that way. I have strong reasons for it. My friends understand, and I don't have the need to explain it to everyone. So I just keep it to myself. So, yeah,
and I don't think there's nothing wrong with you, babe. There's nothing wrong with you being different. You're being yourself. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's as simple as that,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, if you're, again, I don't get this vibe off of you while you're saying this. I don't think you're necessarily being super judgmental of the people themselves. You're just sort of questioning the motivation or the intent behind it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of the times we need to look at the intent behind the actions we perform. We do 100%, and I don't think that is necessarily you being over judgmental of somebody. So I get what you're saying, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's people that share your opinion, because I wouldn't be surprised, because there are people who stay off of social media for a wide range of reasons. There are people who still, even though they're on social media, they keep as much privacy as they possibly can to sort of keep their identity a little more
pure.
to keep it pure. Yeah. So totally, and I wouldn't be surprised if people share your opinion in that sense.